Today, Governor Asa Hutchinson announced new guidelines for places of worship in Arkansas. This comes after all-time highs for hospitalizations and deaths in the state. 5 News reporter Allie Lynch joins us live from Friendship Baptist Church in Springdale with its pastor's reaction to today's guidance. Allie?
Well, Erica, one of the new guidelines the governor mentioned in his press conference today was masks need to be worn at all times by all congregants, except those who are exempt under ADH guidelines. The pastor here at Springdale Baptist Church in Springdale tells me that they've already been following those guidelines, but now with the rising number of COVID-19 cases in the area, he says they're going to be taking even more precautions.
We actually had parking lot church for some time, and then in May we came back in the building. So we have been following the guidelines regarding, wearing the mask and social distancing, and we've been very, very fortunate thus far. But I do see with these numbers rising, we may have to go back to parking lot church.
And today, Governor Hutchinson shared COVID-19 cases by places of worship by county. Northwest Arkansas showing some of the highest numbers, being in the 151 to 200 range.
We respect the separation of church and state. They make their decisions on their own governance and how they handle things, but we do provide the guidelines that we ask them to take into consideration from a public health standpoint, and they've done a remarkable job in respecting those guidelines.
According to the new guidelines, masks need to be worn at all times by all congregants, except those who are exempt under ADH guidelines. The ADH says unmasked congregational singing is the most likely to cause transmission in churches, even if people are 6 feet apart. Singing produces aerosols that can increase the risks of transmission of COVID-19. And a strict 6-foot social distancing is to apply for everyone, aside from family groups, both indoors and outdoors. And seating in the sanctuary should follow this distancing. Pastor Mike Seipold explains how everyone during his Mass is required to wear a mask except the lead singers in the front of the church. But now he says that also may change.
And require them to keep their mask on as they're leading the singing. I think that's important.
Covering news where you live, Allie Lynch, 5 News.